knowing that I'm loved, that was key, and it still is key, and I still have to work on that because I can forget that. But to know when you're loved, a lot of the stuff just fades away. You know, we don't let it cloud our thinking and such, and it allows God's rays to get into our hearts and minds so we can make better choices. And I like to say, do His will, then so, and then share with others. It's very important to what I get from God, I have to share with others, because otherwise, what good is it? There was an attraction to men when I was young. I remember looking and gazing, and probably I think like any young boy or man, you're looking at older men and boys in a certain way. And at that point, I wasn't lusting after them. There was just a fascination with men. And I think it was because I felt such a disconnect at the time that I was that much more drawn. I mean, I just said it's normal, but I felt like I had that much more of a drawn towards them. And I remember at one point in high school, I might have stared and been a little jealous and envious, and looking at the guys that were older, or perhaps a bit more developed than myself as far as facial hair and bodily hair and muscle and such. But there was never any, I never lusted after anybody in high school and such. It was when I graduated that if I remember, that I started making trips into Manhattan, and I met somebody who really pulled me into the culture, you might say. I wanted to go. There was a part of me that wanted it, but that's when it happened, probably when I was more 18, 19. So again, yeah, everything was very hidden, as much as one can hide it. As we know, parents aren't stupid. They can be very intuitive, at least, especially my mother. Yeah. So, I often say I worked hard, but I played hard at the same time. So, but there was definitely, again, I'll stress the point of there was a shamefulness about it. So, I'm hiding, and at the same time, when I was meeting these men that were already there and in the lifestyle and already comfortable with themselves, I wanted to be around them more, because they made me feel more comfortable about myself. So, but there was always a contention going on, a struggle going on within, though. Yeah. I think deep down, I came to the conclusion that if I was going to enter this lifestyle, if I was making this choice, it was best that I go as far as I can without, because in those days it wasn't like it was now, and there was a shame associated with it. There were people that knew about me in New York. I mean, I had some friends I told, and a couple family members. So long ago I forgot who exactly I told in my family. But in any case, it was starting to get too close to home, and I just thought, I got to get out of here. I was living out in California at the time. I was in West Hollywood, and I was living what people phrase as a gay lifestyle, and I had a partner and various partners. I was there for a while, and although life seemed to be all that, and it was all the bells and whistles of a LA life I was experiencing, but things got a bit crazy, and I say crazy as far as more emotionally, and it got dark. It got dark after being there for quite a long. I was there for, at that time, probably 13 years. In any case, I had the partners, and I did live a promiscuous life for some time, and I engaged in a good amount of recreational, drugs, and I wasn't a drinker. But so things got just really, it just all came to a head, and I knew something wasn't right. I knew something internally, I just didn't, with all that, I just needed God, basically. Things got pretty, as I said earlier, dark, and I felt out of control. And actually, as I'm thinking about it and going through it, I thought I was having a nervous breakdown for a long period of time. I had these intrusive thoughts for months. The same thought, actually very dark, very intrusive, and I thought I was going mad. And at the time I did have a partner, and he was very concerned, and I ended up going to the Gay and Lesbian Center in West Hollywood and spoke with a psychologist and such. And believe it or not, she was very good, because I just needed somebody to kind of like snap me out of it. I just needed some good psychological help at the time. She informed me that I wasn't crazy. So don't think you're crazy, you're not crazy. And it sounds funny now, but I needed to hear that at that time. And at the same time though, I did reach out to my brother, who was a priest at the time, and he was the one, after a couple of conversations and leading me back into prayer, he was the one that mentioned courage. And I didn't hear that name in quite some time, because I had a sister. My one sister worked for Father Harvey and worked for Courage. She was his first assistant. So I knew about Courage, but I didn't want to know about it for a long time. So he mentioned Courage, and he I think in a subsequent phone call, he asked me if I wanted to go to a conference. And when you're down, when a soul is down, when I was really down, and I knew that at that point, I heard God through him. Like, I have to do this. I just knew it had to be done. And that's how Courage entered my life. I traveled back east. The conference was in the Bronx that year, 1995. And I had a profound, I believe I had a conversion experience leading up to that conference. Coming out of that darkness, things started happening, and it was a profound conversion. I had the gift of tears at that conference. I met, there's Courage members that I still know today that I met at that conference that are very close to me. And thus, conversion experience, thus a re-entry into the Catholic Church, thus Courage. I emotionally have matured, I'd like to say, and have grown from being a member of Courage, from making a commitment to be a member. I've grown and gained, as you say, wisdom and such through other members of Courage and Encourage, definitely through I worked with Father Harvey. I was privileged and honored, and I learned a lot from Father Harvey. And after Father Harvey came Father Paul Czech, another dynamic director, and now under Father Pachansky. I mean, God placed me with these wonderful priests. Then that's one part of it, but then it's the members, then it's the chaplains, then it's, they definitely helped me become the man that I am today. I mean, I could just see, I'm just thinking Father Harvey used to say, when one desires wholeness and holiness, anything could happen. And I guess with those desires and my ongoing yes, it allowed me to receive God's grace and take on the challenges of life as one does in life, as to what is my call in life, what is my purpose. So I've learned a lot through these years. I've questioned it many, many times, but I could see that he still has me here. I mean, I've been with the apostolate. I've been a member for over 25 years, but I've been with the apostolate for 15 years. And it's just been valuable. And it's from speaking, it's from serving, from listening, because I'm gaining from people when they call us also. It's wounded healer to wounded healer type thing. And this is without, education is up, but this is without like a college education. This is just on the job stuff that one can get from each other. And just, God knows our heart. And I've always, I don't forget of the way life was before courage. So I'm just so grateful. And so there were times when I've been tempted and lured to go backwards, and by His grace, He reminds me of who He is and what He's about and what my purpose is in life. And to be there for Him, but for the other. And I think that has really helped me become the person and the man that I am today. That serving others, knowing, and then even knowing my own purpose, after all these years, it's nice to say that, because I've had questions like everybody does over the years. So yeah, it's been a major blessing for me. It's not easy, it's bittersweet, but a major blessing for me to be able to give back as selflessly as I can. I think I may have been hearing things at the time, but I shut myself down to hearing what God and what would have been best for me. Now, I don't regret the choices that I made, because I wouldn't be here if I didn't make those choices. So a major silver lining there. I'm not giving a green light for anybody to just go ahead and experience what I experienced, because there was some really deep suffering that went on. But that's life, I would say to a younger self, be open and receptive to what God has to say to you. Be open and receptive to those. You have to trust somebody. And at the time, I guess perhaps I wasn't trusting, and thus I did what I wanted to do. I did what felt good. So don't go by feelings. I think we live in a world where it's a lot of feelings right now and emotions, and their feelings are good and great, but you don't live life by your feelings and your emotions. And I used to, very, very much so. There's more to life than our feelings and our emotions, and we are not just what we feel. We're not just what we feel. That's not who I am. So I would tell them, that's not who you are. It's a part of you, but that's not who you are. And that by God's grace, we can make decisions for ourselves. We don't have to take on an identity because the world is saying that's too much listening to the world. So listen to God more than the world. Listen to, if you pray to God, if you don't know what that, well, you pray to God, God, please give me, little Angelo, give me that grace to let me know what you're saying, God, versus what the world is saying. It's very important. It's very, very important. And I've learned a lot. There's unmet needs that I had to learn about. And again, I use the word reclaim. Reclaim my masculinity, my maleness, my male confidence, trusting God, knowing that I'm loved. That was key, and it still is key, and I still have to work on that because I can forget that. But to know when you're loved, a lot of the stuff just fades away, you know? We don't let it cloud our thinking and such, and it allows God's rays to get into our hearts and minds so we can make better choices. And I like to say, do His will, then so, and then share with others. It's very important to what I get from God, I have to share with others, because otherwise, what good is it? What good? That's key. That's key. And of course, as a courage member, I do my best to put flesh on the 5 goals of courage, as we like to say. So, yeah.